friends, it's Gwen and I'm back with another scrapbooking process video. Today's share is episode 9 in the Maggie Holmes Monday Stash Busting series that I've been doing, and I'm using the Sunny Days collection. And this photo of Caitlin taken a few years back. I do have a plan for this layout actually, and it involves these 1.5-inch squares and this page map sketch. So yes, I will be working with a sketch for my layout today. And to begin the page, I am going to create a grid in the background. So for this, I am using up a stack of papers from the, I think it's a 6x8 pattern paper pad in this line. So I did have quite a few patterns that I wanted to mix and match here. I was feeling a bit brave actually. I just wanted to try all the patterns on my background, and I'm just taking a lot of care to line up this first row. So grid design is obviously a very geometric design, so it's really important that anything that you intend to be straight, that it is very straight. So I do fuss with this for a little while. I'm making sure too that the distance between the top square up the top there that I have and the edge of the the edge of the layout, the distance between the top square and the edge of the layout is the same top and bottom. I hope that makes sense. Just so that it looks centered, I guess, on the page. And I'm adding a little bit of my ATG for this. Couple of reasons. I am going to be adding some stitching in a moment here, and I can stitch over the top of the ATG tape if I use it sparingly, and also it's quite repositionable, so if I need to fuss with one of the squares or two of the squares just to make them in the perfect spot, that's okay. I can do that with the ATG tape there. So yeah, so I am going to speed you up a little bit because you won't want to see this in full regular time. Very boring because it does take a little while, but it's worth it. So yeah, and I am particular. I've got, I think it's 3 mil in between each of the squares, and having a small gap like that probably makes it a little bit harder. If you wanted to make this easier on yourself, you could use less squares, or you could make the gap in between the squares larger, or you could have no gap at all, so you don't have to worry about trying to balance out those gaps. Now, I'm also thinking about the position of each of those pattern papers and how they are going to sit against the edge of my photo mat there. So see that I've mounted my photo with a pink border, so I'm just careful about what prints are going to go next to that border so that it looks nice and pleasing to the eye once everything's in position. So yes, nice and square, all the checking in the world happening just to get this right, because it is important. When you add your photo later, if this is out, if your photo's straight and your background's crooked, it will look really, really off. So it's super, super important. Just to make sure that it's perfect. Okay, so in a moment I am going to take this all the way and add some stitching. I just really like the look of that for an extra detail in the background that's not dimensional, and for me it feels more homemade. So there you go, I have gone ahead and done that off camera. I've really just added a cross through every square. But I just kept the lines going. I didn't stop and start after each square, if that makes sense. So you can see there'll be more close-ups too at the end. And did you notice I lost a couple of my squares in the process? So I had to add those back in. And I did also add in some stitching on my tag. So yeah, again, just for an extra little detail. Now, I also referenced the sketch there. So I have been playing it pretty close to what the sketch is, but I am going to mix it up a little bit now. Firstly, because I just have the one photo. However, the sketch has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 photos. one main photo, 6x4 landscape, which is the one that you see on my layout, but it's also got some photos which are in the 1.5 square background cube. So instead of the cube of pattern paper, there's a cube square photo. So because I don't have those photos, I'm actually going to use them as a bit of a guide for my embellishment clusters, so that I don't need to decide where my embellishment clusters are going to be. I'm just going to use the points in the sketch that are marked as photos. And I've also too, you can see on the left there, I've added a bow to my tag, which is also in the sketch. The sketch has a bow. Mine's quite a bit bigger though than the one in the sketch. It's actually quite a giant bow. It's 7 centimeters across, so almost 3 inches. It's beautiful, and I'm all about them bows, so I'm glad it's there. But it has meant that I've had to adjust the sketch ever so slightly, because the title on the sketch, the title is actually below the bow, and you can see there I don't really have room for that. Sorry, I don't have room for that, so I am going to pop my title slightly to the left, and it works out fine, just a small change. And I am also going to add, because my title is slightly to the left, it kind of would be a bit much to add 1, 2, 3, the 4 photos as embellishment clusters. So I'm just going to drop one and make it 3 embellishment clusters. I did want to add here too that just because you're using a sketch doesn't mean it has to be exactly the same as the sketch. You can absolutely change up whatever part of the sketch that you want to. There's no sketch police, there's no scrapbooking police who are going to come and get you and tell you that you did the sketch wrong, and it's yeah, it's absolutely fine to just, you know, there's been times that I have started with a sketch and got maybe halfway through a layout and gone, it's not quite working for where I'm going here, and then kind of moved on from that and just used it as a bit of a starting point, a bit of a inspiration for my page, and then just gone and run with my own thing. So yeah, so there's that. So remember that it doesn't actually, you can change and mix and match and do whatever you like, even when using sketches. Now it's at this point that I'm really just auditioning all the things. So this is the second layout that I've made with this collection. So the first layout was actually the previous episode of Maggie Holmes Monday, and I have been finding it a lot more fun when I've got a collection out to actually make a couple of pages with it. Generally in the past I've really pulled everything out and I've made one layout and then I've packed everything away. But yeah, of late I'm enjoying just doing that second page. You know, feeling like the first page was a bit of a warm up, and the second page is where I can kind of be more familiar with the supplies and let loose a little bit and just enjoy the process a little bit more. So yeah, I will be doing a little bit more of that, I think, this year as well. Lots of reflecting in January, lots of what am I going to be doing more of, what am I going to be doing less of. So we'll see how it goes, hey? We can always make plans and then always change them. So yeah, so this is where the layout's going. 3 embellishment clusters, 1 top above my tag there, 1 top left hand corner of the photo, and 1 bottom right hand corner of the photo. And I'm just mixing and matching. I've got stickers, I've got chipboard, I've got more of those puffy stickers from the puffy sticker sheets that I have. You would have seen them in the previous episode. And then though, I'm keeping it pretty simple. Well, I say simple, but there's not a lot to add because I have those blocks of pattern paper in my background. So I do want to be careful not to add too many layers and have it be too busy. So there is that. I am balancing that. And for my clusters, I'm balancing a medium size embellishment with a smaller size embellishment. And I have talked a little bit about this before on my channel, but I'm aware of where everything is meeting. So if you were to draw a line around the edge of the cluster, I want all my edges to be interesting. I don't want any straight lines. I don't want anything to make a perfect line up within the cluster. I want all the edges to be interesting, which is I know is quite different to what I was saying in the beginning with the squares of pattern paper, where I want everything to be lined up and perfectly symmetrical. And it's important that in that area everything's perfectly lined up. But in my embellishment clusters, I want the opposite. I want it to look as if it was placed by accident and it just fell there, and it all just looks, you know, lovely and organic and interesting. But yeah, it takes a fair bit of work. I actually remember when I first started scrapbooking, embellishment clusters were one of the things that I was really focused on learning more about and really focused on practicing. I used to seek out layouts that had beautiful clusters in them, and I would try and emulate them. It was just, it was one of those things that I really was passionate about, even right from the beginning. Maybe that's why I end up with so many embellishments. I often have to buy every embellishment that a collection comes with. And I'm definitely a collector of embellishments over a collector of paper. So it's interesting, isn't it? You'll have to tell me whether you're the same. So do you have more paper in your stash or more embellishments in your stash? Are you a collector of one more than the other, or do you like them equally? I'd be curious to know, because I'm definitely an embellishment kind of girl. Now things are getting serious. I have my quick dry out and I am locking my embellishment clusters down. I'm adding a liquid adhesive behind everything. So it's important that I don't have to remake this page anytime in the future. So I do like to add adhesive, liquid adhesive, rather than just relying on the glue that comes with a lot of the stickers and stuff. I find this part really therapeutic, actually. I think because a lot of the decisions are made, so really I'm not having to think about what I'm doing. I can just add the glue and press it down, add the glue and press it down, and it just locks everything into position. And I know that my page is really coming together. So as I finish up here, in a moment I will lift the layout and you can see a close-up of the stitching detail and the embellishment layers. I'll also leave you with some still images. If you like the way that I scrapbook, or the way that I chat about the way that I scrapbook, I would love it if you subscribed. I have had quite a few new subscribers in the last few months, so if that's you, welcome, hello, I'm so glad you're here. Feel free to ask me anything about my process or the products that I use in the comments below. And until next time, thanks so much, my creative friends. I will see you in the next video. Bye!